chances are you clicked onto this video because of the title of this video. And yeah, hopefully you'll split your sides with this video. Hey guys, Ranger here, and welcome back to another video, and welcome back to another story video. I know some people enjoy these story-based videos, so I thought I would share with you the most embarrassing moment of my life, or at least the most embarrassing moment that I've ever had to date. I hope I never have any more like this, but this is definitely one of the most embarrassing, okay, correction, this is the most embarrassing moment that I've had to date of my life. And, this actually happened probably about 6-7 years ago. And also, just in case my best friend watches, who is sick right now, I hope this video makes you laugh as well. So hopefully you'll be feeling better. So best wishes. But in order to explain, in order to get into the video a bit more, I have to tell you what I was doing at the time. I'm embarrassed to have to say it. I'm also kind of ashamed as well. No, I wasn't a stripper. I wasn't a stripper. No. I was working as a courtesy clerk at the time in a grocery store. Yeah, I know, very minimal pay job, very lame job, but that's what I was doing at the time. And this was about 6 years ago, about almost 7 years ago, and I just started working. This was my first job, and I just started working, and I started working, and I had never actually been around, been in an environment around any girls before whatsoever. And so I started working. And I was supposed to work 2 weeks up front before I went back to Night Stock, which that's what I still do now. That's what I still do now. I think the stripper concept would pay more, but but I'm not a stripper. I can imagine if someone did fan art right now, like a 2-panel comic showing my OC, Ember looking at Blitz and like, I was a stripper, and him just looking at her deadpan, and she's like, kidding. I really wasn't, honest. But I was working up front, and I had to work up front for 2 weeks before I went back to working nights. And there was a girl that she was a cashier that worked there at the time. I'm going to call her for this video Wim. So Wim apparently had an interest in me. She wasn't a bad-looking girl, but she wasn't bad-looking. But the thing was, she had a speech impediment. Now, you've watched my videos, you know that I have a speech impediment as well. However, she had more. Mine is more stuttering. Hers was more of a lisp, more of a sort of a serious lisp. I found myself, whenever I was working with her for that first week, I found myself having to ask her a lot. What did you say? Or could you repeat that? And the other half of what she said I didn't hear, and I didn't have the heart to ask her again to repeat it, so I just pretended that I understood what she said. And after working a couple of, maybe 1 day or 2 days with her, or the first week, basically I was working 3 days. I worked 3 days up front, 1 week, 3 days up front. So altogether I worked 6 days. And I think it was maybe during the second day I was working with her. I was the courtesy clerk, she was the cashier. I was working at her register, and she would say something to me, and I didn't understand what she would say. And I began to feel a really good comparison. Uh, if you watch The Amazing World of Gumball like I do, I'm a fan of it. That episode where the new student arrives in school who is like baloney, I think, and he can't his articulation is way off, and so Gumball and Darwin don't understand what he's saying, so they agree to just agree with everything that he says, and it turns out they get in trouble over it and end up getting involved in a heist. That's kind of what happened to me without the heist part. That did not happen. The heist did not happen for me, luckily. But uh, I found myself constantly having to ask her, uh, what did she say, and pretending that I understood what she said whenever I really didn't. There was only a small percentage, like maybe about 10-15% of what she said I actually understood. The rest of it I didn't hear. And so, but I had no interest in this girl. I didn't. It wasn't just because of the speech impediment. I just had no interest in her. And I think it was maybe the start of it was the third day that I was working, and she was working register here. And no, there was another girl that we were bagging for. There was another girl here, and this girl, Wim, was standing in front of me. I was standing on the other side of the register, and a couple of people, a woman and somebody else I don't remember, came through, and we were bagging for this woman, and apparently this woman knew Wim. And next thing I know, this woman reaches into her purse, pulls out a picture of Wim that was like taking in a photo studio. She was wearing like a black dress. I honestly don't remember if it was sleeveless or if it had sleeves, but I'm pretty sure that it came down to like her calves. And I keep thinking she was wearing black shoes, but I don't remember what kind. The black dress was all I remember, but it was one of those professional like photos. And this woman puts it down on the register in front of me and looks at me and asks, "What do you think?" And at this point, this really catches you by surprise. I didn't even consider myself friends with this girl, Wim. And I've only worked for her maybe 2 days. And that was only for 8 hours, and I didn't get to work with her for the entire 8 hours every day. So I haven't even really known this girl for 24 hours. And here with this woman was showing me a picture of the same girl that is standing in front of me and asks me, "What do I think?" And it's like, I'm thinking, is this a trick question? And so I look at the photo, at this point beginning to feel really nervous and anxious, and I said, "It looks good. It looks good." And here's the embarrassing part. Oh my gosh. This woman, she looks at Wim and says, "There," "There you go, Wim. He's a good guy. He knows the right things to say." I wanted to die. I wanted to die. I wanted an asteroid to come out of the sky right there and flatten me. Oh my gosh. It was embarrassing. That was the most awkward moment of my life. I mean, imagine yourself in that situation. You haven't even known a girl. You're not even friends with a girl or a guy. If you're not even friends with this person, and then suddenly someone who knows them just plops a picture down of them and says, "What do you think?" and then points at them while you're in front of them and says, "This is a good person. They know just what to say." Oh my gosh. That was the most awkward moment of my life. I just kind of laughed, and I'm pretty sure that Wim was embarrassed as well. Pretty sure she was probably more embarrassed than I was. But, oh my gosh. I thought, no, this had to have been a prank. Somebody had to have set this up. There's no way that this could have happened. This can't be real. Well, I'm pretty sure that it was real. If it ever was a prank, it's been almost 7 years ago. Nobody ever came forward and said it was. Um, and I I was very glad to get the rest of that day over with because I just wanted to forget about that. And the next day, I believe, yeah, the next day after that, uh, or the next day that I worked, I was glad at that time that I was working 3 days up front. So I had a 1 or 2 days that I didn't have to be there in between. So that gave me some time to let things cool down before I had to go back again. And I remember, I honestly don't remember how the rest of that day went. I honestly do not remember how that it went. I think I just tried to pretend that it didn't happen. But you can't forget something like that. And I remember the next day that I worked, another girl that knew Wim. Neither of these girls are there now. I have to stress that neither of these girls are there now. But another girl that knew Wim walked up to me the next day that I worked and said, "Do you like Wim?" And I said, uh, "I I guess I haven't known her for very long. I haven't even known her really. I haven't even known her 2 days." And this other girl asked me, "Would I be willing?" Uh, or she asked, "Would I be willing to ask Wim out?" I thought, after the last day's little episode, no freaking thank you. Actually, that was, I believe, one of the things that I thought. Like, wow, that would be a moment to tell the kids, wouldn't it, honey? But I honestly thought to myself, first off, I haven't even known this girl for 2 days at this point. I'm not even friends with her. We're just literally coworkers. That's it. And so I don't even know anything about this girl. Nothing. Jack squat. So why in the world would I wouldn't, I'm not the kind of person whatsoever like that to just jump headfirst into a situation like that. That was literally like, a real life equivalent to that would be like saying, would be me. Never been on a plane in my life, but yet I decided to go skydiving. That would be a real life equivalent. I mean, just not even been in that situation, not even been going, I mean, not even been working at this location for a full week yet. Just met this girl because you're working with her because she works in the same environment that you do, and you don't know anyone, not just this girl, but anyone. You don't know anyone. You feel like it's that really awkward situation whenever you start a new place and there's people that have been there for a while longer than you, and here you are, the fresh meat, you just start working, and it's very awkward. It's very awkward because then you have to get to know people, and you get to have not just know people, but you have to get to know the rules and how things are done. And so I'm still learning this. And now they're asking me to ask this girl out. It's a lot of stuff being thrown at me all at once. Not to mention where they put that woman put the picture down on the register of the same girl. And I'm just feeling like I'm not being given enough time to breathe, that I'm being dragged along at like 100 miles an hour through everything. And I was like, whoa, no, hold it, stop, hit the brakes. And I remember thinking to myself that, like, it went through my head. I thought, if I ask this girl out, which I didn't want to, I did not want to, but I thought if I ask this girl out, I thought about the concept of her having a speech impediment. And I know I have a speech impediment, and I stutter sometimes. But for her, like I said, I couldn't understand half of what she would tell me. And I thought a relationship would not work out because I would feel terrible constantly having to ask her, "What did you say?" or "Huh." I would feel terrible. I would feel extremely bad. Like, just, I mean, and in those split seconds before I responded, I had all these thoughts going through my head. I imagined, like, taking this girl to the movies and her saying something to me and me not understanding what she said and having to constantly say, "Huh." And I thought, how bad would that make her feel? How bad would that make her feel? And it would make me feel bad because I would have to keep asking her to repeat what she said. And thought, I can't do that. I won't do that to this girl. Like, I won't put her through that. I can't put myself through that. I can't do it. I won't do it. And plus, there's the fact that, like, I've not even known her for 48 hours, and already they're expecting me to go out with this girl. And I said, and so after all these thoughts played out in my head, after this other girl asked me, would I ask Wim out? I said, not right now. Like, I'm just not interested in dating right now. I haven't even known her very long. I just started working here. And I think she just kind of said, "Oh, okay," and walked off. And I thought that was the end of it. It quite literally was. Wim never acknowledged my existence after that. Like, she completely ignored me. She was against me. She, like, hated my guts. Simply because apparently this other girl told her that I didn't want to ask her out or something. Or maybe told her that I didn't want to ask her out right now. I honestly, I don't know what she told her. But Wim just pretended she never said hi. She never spoke to me after that. She never spoke a word to me. And she just completely ignored me. Well, it didn't bother me, honestly. It didn't bother me. I thought, oh, well, okay. Guess I got out of that situation. So, yeah, yay. So, it was just a couple of days later that I went to working nights. And I was away from all that drama up front. And so, Wim ended up quitting sometime later. She quit. And it was, I'd say it was 3, 4 years, maybe, before I ever saw her again. And it was morning. It was about 8 o'clock in the morning, and myself and another coworker, uh, who is like, I mean, who is older than I am. He and I are standing outside. We just came out, and I happened to see this girl, same girl, Wim. I see her go walking into the joint, and I I don't know if she recognized me or not, but she walked in, and I turned to this guy, and I had told this guy all about what had happened that day, and I said, "That's that girl. That's her." He turned and looked, said, "That's her?" I said, "Yep, that's her." Well, he and I stood there talking a few more minutes, and I see the girl going out the opposite side, walking down the parking lot. And I said, "There," and I pointed to the guy, and I said, "There she goes." And I said, "I'm glad that I didn't even, that I'm glad that I didn't get involved." Next, and I see her walking up to a guy, and the guy was old enough to be her dad. And I thought, okay, so she's come shopping with her dad or something. Next thing I know, I see her walk up to him, wrap her arms around his neck, and kiss him. And I thought, oh, okay, so she's into the Hugh Hefner types. Okay. Mm-hmm. And so, so she's into the much older men. Okay. And, or maybe that's a very, very intimate father-daughter relationship. I don't know. And I turned to the guy next to me, and I said, "Okay, dude, she's into the older men, so there you go. Why don't you have a shot?" He laughed and said, "No thanks, no thanks. I think I'll pass." And so, like, it's been probably 3, 4 years since that incident, and I don't even, like, never seen her since. Do I regret my decision? No, I don't. I don't. If I had it to do over with, I'd do the same thing all over again. I'm glad I didn't get involved. I honestly am. Um, I really just had no interest in her whatsoever, and I'm glad that I didn't get involved because it really was uh, kind of an awkward situation. First off, like I said, I couldn't understand everything what she said, and I would have felt bad. But the biggest thing, I mean, but there was also the concept that it seemed like everybody was trying to drag me in. Uh, Whoever this was that that knew her, could have been her mom, could have been aunt, I don't know. Putting the picture down in front of some random dude that she's working with and says, "What do you think about her?" And then points to her and says, in front of the guy that she's working with, and says, "See, he's a good guy. He knows what to say." See what I mean? It just felt extremely awkward, extremely out of place, and it just made me feel I couldn't help but, like, right now thinking, trying, like, analyzing it. One way that you might could analyze it is say that maybe they were desperately trying to hook her up. And if that's the case, if they were desperately trying to hook her up, then why were they so desperate to hook her up? I don't know. Um, so, I just felt way too pressured for that. I felt like it was coming on way too fast. It was like going from it's like tossing a tortoise onto a bullet train. That's like what it was. And I'm glad I didn't get involved. I'm glad I didn't get involved. Um, I have no regrets about that. I'm glad I didn't get involved. But yeah, I thought I'd share with you the most awkward and most embarrassing moment of my life. And hopefully you got some laughs out of it. I hope you did. I really hope you got some laughs out of it. Uh, but I wanted to pass that on because I've known about that ever since it happened, of course. And now that I have a YouTube channel, I can actually share some of these comical stories with you guys. So hopefully you guys will laugh. But hope you guys enjoyed. And if you any thoughts you want to say on the situation, or if you want to share your own similar stories, please feel free to do so in the comments. And if you bust your gut laughing, please let me know. I hope this made some people laugh. I hope I made some people laugh at my expense. But thank you guys again for joining me. Hope you guys enjoyed, and hopefully I'll see you guys in the next video that I do. Take care.